In this episode I want to show you how easy and simple it is to use high dynamic range images in Cinema 4D, because internally the whole engine works in 32-bit floating point, and so it is maybe a good idea to just use 32-bit images at all. So here we have the picture viewer, which is the simplest way to explore the quality of an HDRI. And when I go here to File, I can just go to Open, and you see already we have some options which I will discuss later. Open in File means here I use an OpenEXR file, 32-bit per channel, and just click Open and it's already inside of the picture viewer. To explore this image and to see its dynamic finally, you need to go to the filters, and the filters itself have new options here. We have wonderful, very powerful curve editors here for the main, red, green and blue. To use them we have to enable, of course, the whole section here, and we can explore in the easiest way maybe with exposure the image. And exposure works of course nice when you have linear light images. I wouldn't use this really with images that are baked in gamma images, so to say. There's a problem, and I will show you that in a later episode. When we want to explore this area here, we can go to the Command or Control key and click in just a little control point into the curve, and then we can see here already that we can do some damage to the picture, and we explore it. Of course we get some very weird values here, and if you have done a little bit too much, reset the filter here. And as we know, these values here can be very high, and when I have this on, I can say maybe I have 20 here, which would be 20 stops or whatever, and then we have here a huge dynamic range. I show you what happens when we reset the filter here now. It stays here on the 20, and this tiny little bit here, that is normally our standard definition or low dynamic range. And 20 is, for example, the limit in Photoshop where you can tweak those values. So I drag this now here just to the end and maybe just up, so we get the same result. Command here, and this is only for demonstration purposes. Don't do that at home. Now, just to explore how much data is in an image, because just to save 8-bit data in a 32-bit format doesn't make it richer. So here you can see that the sun has a huge potential. Even if I blend everything to black, it stays here, and you can see here these highlights. These are very important. This finally makes an image in a high quality, or it shows you have used low dynamic range, because there is a lot of power in it, and when you blur it based on motion blur, depth of field or whatever, this will win any blurriness and it will bloom, and this is the nice quality of this. Okay, I didn't want to talk about the quality of the image, I only wanted to show you what you can do here with those curves here. Okay, this is all for the picture viewer, and of course you know all these data here. If not, check out, it's in the manual. What I wanted to do here is of course to go into the area where we can use those material. And when I go here to the material manager and to the material editor, I call up a new material, I uncheck all the channels that are on by default and go into the luminance, check it on, and every time when we have a texture area here, we can load an image here, or we can go to the ellipsis button and load it directly from your hard drive. Both ways work, and here we have the same OpenEXR file, and I say open. And then I get this here. Just a little refresher if you are new to Cinema 4D. When I press yes, this image will be copied in my texture folder from the project. If I have no folder in this, I will get a copy into my Maxon folder. If I press no, then it will stay where it is, and you can see this here. I have that long line of paths, and I can drag this here out so you see exactly where I am. If I share then this file, this scene file, to someone else who has no access to these textures on my disk, but I give him maybe on another disk exactly these images, or he has them maybe, he can go to Edit, to Preferences, and here to Files, and specify where he placed these pictures or images. This is one way. If you have, even by doing so, problems, you can go into Edit, into Project Info, and then in the Attributes Manager, in Textures, you get here a list with all images that are used inside of the project. Normally there should be a white little arrow, and when I go here to Mark Missing Textures and click on it, if this texture would be missing, I get a red X, and then I have to go here to the ellipsis button and find the image, and then it will be replaced. I get in dialog if I want to replace it, and so on and so on. Okay, for this episode here on the series, I want to go only here into the exposure, which we have seen in the picture view already. So I can dial here in some different values if I need this. If the one who has created this HDRI was maybe not careful with setting up the right point to that. So I can dial here in a little bit more. Okay, when I have this now here in the material, I have to do nothing else. It's just inside already, and I can place this then maybe here on a sky object. If this is a 360 by 180 degree image, which means, and I show you that when I click here and command click on this or control click, when I have an image like this and I want to have it here on this sphere or the infinite sphere, so to say, as the sky is, then I want to have it, of course, in the right direction, not mirror or flip-sided. And you can see here already, when I render this just for a moment, this door is on the left side from this pole, this is on the right side. How to fix this? Little refresher. I go to the texture tag, which contains the material tag, and inside of the Attributes Manager, the tag, I find here the length U, which is for U and V mapping. We don't need to know a lot about this to just type in a dash, click in another area to give this one here our return, and when I render this here again, then I can see the yellow tint is left-sided from the green one, as in the picture. So now everything is fine, because we are inside of a sphere. That is why we have to flip it. And when I want to use this, of course, now, then I need an object inside of the scene. I create a new material and click off anything except for the reflection. Leave it on default just for the sake of this demonstration. Go closer to it, render it, and I have all the information inside of my sphere already and in HDRI. That means whatever I have now here in terms of material or whatever, and I show you that when the reflection here, that means the brightness, goes down to 6%, for example, I don't know if it works now, I can see here the sun. This comes through. If I had an LDRI and low dynamic range, I wouldn't see here a thing. It would be just black, or maybe very, very tiny. And that's the beauty of HDRI. These values survive even traveling through a lower reflectivity area. Okay, this sums it up. We have seen we can use these textures all over the place in the material, in the picture viewer, and of course when you use MoCraft, where you can use textures, sometimes this works to your advantage. There's no other need than just to load it in. Long story short, I wish you a lot of fun with it and see you in the next part.